Thank you, Miri, for your patience. I want to also talk about, what's going on with the joint Arab-Israeli summit happening right now in Riyadh. We heard the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia saying some pretty harsh words, saying, okay, release the hostages, but Israel needs to end their siege on Gaza.
All right, so Emily, I'm not sure if you heard yourself. You said joint Arab-Israeli, of course.
I mean, sorry, oh my goodness.
Okay. Things that we want everybody to understand clearly. Yes. There's a war. It's been going on for over 5 weeks. And this war does not just immediately impact all of the state of Israel and the Palestinian arena, but the Gaza Strip, borders Egypt. And as we all know, Hamas, as part of their plan, have tried to ignite the entire Arabic and Muslim world in a lot of ways. They called this attack, named it after Al-Quds, Al-Aqsa, Jerusalem. So when we see these pictures of the different Arabic and Muslim countries coming together in Saudi Arabia right now, this is what I call what we're seeing for the camera. The underside of that is, can they actually agree about anything? So as you said before, Emily, the world right now is very focused on the humanitarian challenges, and so am I. I think that what is happening is so hard, and we need to realize that, and we want this to be better, and that's why we're going after Hamas. But when these Arab countries are coming together, they're on their own interests. Iran is in the room. The Iranian president is there. In the Iranian run-of-mill of who has power, and this isn't to belittle anybody, the Iranian president has no power when it comes to the foreign relations. He's the one who is sent so that it kind of looks like it's the people's choice. But all of the decisions made in Iran are done by the revolutionary regime, by the Islamic revolutionary leader, Khamenei, not by the man who was sent to Saudi Arabia. So as we look at that, I'm going to listen to the words. I listen to words, and they're very challenging for me worldwide, but I am going to look at the actions, what decisions they actually do make, because I do not expect them to make drastic decisions against Israel. None of them are going to be good. I'm not going to be happy about them, but there's a difference. They're not going to disconnect ties with Israel, I don't think. They won't do those kind of things, even though they're meeting openly. There's the difference between what they're doing to show their own people and what they're actually going to do in their actions.
Right, but also, Raisi himself, pretty much is blaming also the United States on this situation.
But
are they going to be talking about that? Exactly. So are they going to be discussing this, and how is this going to come into play if this becomes part of the narrative of this meeting?
I do not expect it to become part of the narrative. The Sauds are the ones who are hosting this. This most definitely what the Iranian, and in this case, that Islamic revolutionary narrative, which includes perhaps Iraq to a certain degree, certainly Syria's Bashar, Hezbollah, but Hezbollah does not rule over Lebanon. And the people who are coming in are the leaders of the countries, not the terrorist organizations that we all know in that sense and what they've been doing. So I do not expect in any way for the Western associated countries, and when I say Western, that isn't about the culture, it's about power, it's about weapons, it's about oil, it's about a lot of different interests, but they're not going to be changing those interests because Iran has come in and said that the United States is the big devil. The United States has been under attack over the last 5 weeks throughout the Middle East by all of the Iranian Shiite proxies from Yemen, from Iraq, from Syria. Not only has Israel been under attack by those same proxies, let alone by Hezbollah, so have United States all over. And it isn't that suddenly Saudi Arabia is going to say, okay, I'm changing sides in that sense. This is a big power play inside the Middle East. They need to do these meetings to show that they support their Palestinian brethren, but there's going to be a difference between the rhetoric and even in the decisions and between the actual actions afterwards.
Wow. Also, what can you tell us also about what Netanyahu said? He said the IDF will control Gaza Strip after the war, won't hand it to external forces. Is that the right thing to say at this time, especially given, what's going on internally in this country before this war?
When we look at the day after, I mean, all of us have to understand, we're 5 weeks into this war. Aren't we all sitting right now and going, okay, what about the day after? But Emily, we're still in it. We still don't know if Hezbollah will or will not expand. You mentioned before Hassan Nasrallah's expected speech. There's such hype about these speeches, but Hezbollah has been participating from day one. But they've been participating on what I'm going to call low level. If I lived up north, I don't know that I would call it low level. Dozens of communities being evacuated by Israel because they are directly attacking them is not low level for them. Different infiltrations from the air, from the ground is not low level for the Israelis who live up north. So when we're talking about the day after and what we're going to do, we Israelis need to feel safer. We need to feel more secure. We certainly need to feel that an October 7th scenario cannot happen again. And I think that Prime Minister Netanyahu is expressing that. I do not think that he or the cabinet or the government are at the stage that they really have sat down and know what we want to get to. Because again, we don't know what Hezbollah will do, the Shiite proxies, and behind that, Iran.
Right.
These are all still elements that need to come into play.
Right. One more question. Also, we're getting pressure. I mean, Macron came here, but now we're getting international pressure from European countries, again, putting the responsibility on Israel, calling for a ceasefire when we know that we were the ones that were attacked on October 7th. So why so much international pressure that this has to be in our hands? Because even a ceasefire isn't going to shorten this war. If anything, it'll make it longer and lead to more casualties, correct?
We're going to have to, absolutely, Emily, we're going to have to understand that there's a gap here. And that gap is something that we need. This isn't just about our understanding better. Emily, just think of the difference between the fact that you're for 5 weeks, as I've been talking on I-24, we're at Israel at war, and the rest of the world is kind of in a different arena. They don't understand that the state of Israel is mobilized, that nobody is home in my house because everybody is called up, my kids, my husband, that I'm in constant fear in that sense of what will happen next. And I can't explain it all the time. It is